Well, a very good afternoon to you. Hope you're having a good day wherever you are. VOGAN'S views on Europe for the 15th of February. Mild conditions yet again, folks. We're seeing temperatures widely today, this afternoon, 8 to 12 Celsius. So certainly above normal conditions. And yes, Europe itself as well is starting to moderate, particularly so from central westwards. The Low Countries, France, Spain, warmer conditions, and of course those warming conditions after such freezing conditions can lead to very, very slick pavements, roadways as well. That threat will continue, folks, as the temperatures start to moderate somewhat. I pulled up this image. This is just off the BBC website. You can see here a classic scene from the cold wave, and of course this is Italy, and look at how much snow there is from central Italy northwards along the east coast. That is really quite a stunning looking image, folks, and certainly an image that is no surprise when you look at the broader scale across Europe. It shows you the magnificence of that cold wave that we've just seen. One that will likely go down in the history books as one of the worst in many decades. But certainly here in the UK, winter remains away from here. We've got the mild conditions. We've got that Azores high pressure system firmly in control. This is the current map of the ECMWF. You notice here the cold air starting to get more displaced more eastwards. The Azores high, that system that's kept western and northern areas of the UK basically absent a winter. Yes, we've seen winter conditions into England, temperatures down to as low as minus 16 Celsius, and of course widespread snow cover. But certainly this weather system here, folks, that block that stopped that cold air pushing further west into Ireland, up into Scotland as well, remains very, very strong indeed. And that will be the case over the next several days. I'm going to skip ahead, folks, because you're saying to yourself, you're talking about colder weather for the weekend. I'm not saying it. You're asking. Well, let's have a quick look off the upper level map. When you skip through the sequence, you notice here the high pressure builds in more so over the UK. So what mild conditions remain in place. We are seeing cloud areas of sunshine as well, but very little in the way of heavy rain and whatnot because of that high pressure and control. You notice here that the airflow itself completely different. Instead of the block here, the massive area of high pressure that was basically positioned all the way from the UK at one point through Scandinavia, all the way across the Pacific coast. Many meteorologists that have been in the business 20, 30 years have said they've struggled to ever see an area of high pressure as strong and as large as what we've seen. And of course, that very weather system brought us the magnificent cold wave across basically the vast majority of Europe, in fact. But you notice here, the cold air remains in place over central and eastern parts of Europe. Yes, we have got a fairly cold northerly flow blowing through the Low Countries, but notice here the colours much brighter, the greens, even the yellows starting to show up across Spain, up into France as well, and of course the UK remains fairly mild, but that cold air remains pretty stubborn over central and particularly eastern parts of Europe. No real surprise for sure, but the difference is the air isn't coming from the northeast, from Siberia. It's coming now up and over and down from the Atlantic, so it's Atlantic air that's back in play again. I'm very concerned, folks, for the region from central and northern Italy through the Balkan Peninsula, in through Bulgaria, Romania, up into the Ukraine, Russia. Massive amounts of snow over the past few weeks. Some areas of the southeastern part of Europe, Bosnia-Herzegovina, Serbia, they've been buried and continue to be buried in 5 to 10 feet of snow. My concern is that we don't want to see a rapid warming over this region, and it is inevitable, folks. We are now in February. That the concern would be that we are going to see some flooding situations starting to develop. What we don't want to see is that 5 to 10 feet of snow melt away too quickly. There's too many communities nestled within those mountains, river valleys and whatnot, and of course we could have the potential there, a worst case scenario of significant catastrophic flooding, if you will, over this region has been buried in snow. So we need to be careful. We need to keep an eye on that situation over this part of Europe. So you're asking about the cold weather. Here's the seeds getting sown. You notice here a trough, tightly packed isobars. So of course the air around this upper level low is getting pulled in from Greenland. What's that? Where that air is going to go is into the UK again. So notice and follow those isobars, those lines of equal pressure going along and over the northern half of Scotland. Let's skip from Friday into Saturday and let's see what happens here. You notice here that the trough is starting to dig in from the western part of the UK. So all eyes on this trough coming in from the northwest, skipping through to Sunday. And bingo, you've got that trough overhead. You've got very, very cool northwesterly winds blowing. Now, yes, Scotland appears to be seeing those blues starting to show up. So, with a very cold air mass, you get northwesterly winds blowing. Could we see snowfall down to low levels? That is a possibility, folks, at this moment in time. If this scenario plays out, of course, there is changes going to take place. The model will chop and change. But notice here, folks, some key changes taking place here. The trough digs into the UK. You've got rising heights over and east of this trough. So you've got Germany through even into Scandinavia. Notice how the colours have went from blue to green. Milder conditions. The southwesterly wind is blowing. So we are going to see the mildest conditions in perhaps well over a month for parts of Scandinavia. You've got very mild conditions starting to push in through Germany, even into Poland. Notice here, the trough is starting to kick out. You've got rising heights. Let's skip ahead to Monday. Let's see what happens. You've got that trough digging in. So yes, it's going to be a more progressive pattern now, folks. You notice that instead of the blocked up pattern, you've got a trough pushing and sliding eastwards. Raising heights to the east, lowering heights to the west. What's going to happen here is the fact that we're going to see this trough sweep further eastwards. Notice that. It's back into the eastern part of Europe. Heights are starting to rise over the western part of Europe. So we've got a much more progressive, more fluid west-east movement of the pattern again. I wrote on Facebook this morning, if you haven't already liked the page, I suggest you like it if you're interested in the weather. Check out what my latest ideas for not only the UK and Europe, but North America and the rest of the world as well. I regularly update on my Facebook page. But what I did state was this morning, I believe perhaps a 2 to 3 shots of cold air is possible from the latter part of February through March. I think that our best chance is seeing the cool weather now. And by the way, I believe Ireland, Northern Ireland and Scotland have the potential to see the coldest air of the season. Basically, for the remainder of the winter time. There is plenty of winter left to come, folks, but that will come in quick bursts. You've got these troughs that are swinging off the Atlantic, filled with cold air. You might get snow, you might get cold temperatures, but there's always that movement towards the east with heights rising in the west that will push through. So any cold snaps that we do see will be short-lived. The pattern is yet again changed across Europe. So continue to stay tuned. We have got the potential for a pretty cold weekend, and particularly the latter part of the weekend, Sunday and the Monday, if these models are correct. But they're going to chop and change. We're looking for trends in the model, like I've always said. Hope you have a great day, folks. Bye for now.